Hello and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello, Ben.
Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Kelsey Lewin.
That's me.
Welcome back, Kelsey. Well, I guess you've never been on this show, but you were on the Deepest Dive for Animal Crossing last year.
Yeah. Have I never been on the show proper?
I guess not. But
yeah,
anyways,
I haven't.
Yeah, but you're welcome here whenever you want. You're the co-director of the Video Game History Foundation, also the owner of Pink Gorilla Game Stores in Seattle. Is that the best way to frame that?
Yeah.
Awesome. And co-host of the Video Game History Hour podcast, which we've talked about before on the podcast here. It's fantastic. Congratulations on getting that podcast off the ground.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah, but that's not it. We're also joined by Nicole. How do you pronounce your last name?
It's Zavalich.
Zavalich. Welcome, Nicole.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, and I'm also I used to have pink Godzilla merch from Seattle,
Nice.
before the name changed. I have it still. So that's what a small world.
That's wild. Yeah, Nicole, your voice might be familiar to people going back to the days of We Can Confirm. That's where I first heard you. When was that?
I mean, A, what is time? But B, 2011 to 2013, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Right? That sounds like years.
That was so long ago. What have you been doing since? What is your life like in a post-We Can Confirmed world? Because there's probably a lot of people that have been wondering what you've been doing.
Yeah, so after We Can Confirmed, I went to The Odd Gentleman, where I was a associate producer, community manager on the newest King's Quest game that we made with Activision. And then after that, I wanted a break from gaming. So I went to what I thought would be a less toxic culture of zombies. And so I went to The Talking Dead for a few years, where I produced social and interactive elements for that show. And then after that, I went to Stupid Buddy Studios, who they do Robot Chicken, and I did interactive and social for them. And then for the past 3.5 years, I was at a mobile company who are working on the mobile Tetris right now.
Oh, yeah.
And they laid me off last week, so I'm currently unemployed.
What would you like to be doing if you want to look directly into the camera and just make the sales pitch of a lifetime?
Oh, yeah. I think that I'm just really going to make the next big CW show. So I'm just all about over dramatic, nerdy teenagers. So that's just what my next path is going to be. So see you on the CW this fall.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Who may or may not be superheroes,
Yeah.
right? That's their big angle now.
Yeah, Supergirl flies in for a little bit.
Superheroes and super teenagers. So just you're doing the pitch for me, really.
It'll work out. Well, you are all here to talk about Pokemon. This last, was it Friday, Saturday? It was Pokemon's 25th anniversary. So it's a real Pokemon panel here. We'll talk about the announcements, some tidbits in there. Also, Kyle, you have finished playing Maquette, the new puzzle game. Yes?
Yeah, I finished it.
Great. And
last night.
Sarah, will you be so kind as to talk about Valheim with me?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Okay. Great.
I will talk to you about Valheim whenever you want.
Perfect. And then we have some fun community questions after that. But Pokemon, 25 years old. Kelsey, as the certified historian of the group, do you feel like we fully understand the origins of Pokemon at this point? I mean, has Tajiri done that many interviews about the earliest days, or are we all just going off that little factoid about he liked catching bugs and then therefore Pokemon?
If you speak Japanese, it's all out there.
Okay.
He's really laid it all out. I think there's a book and I think a manga-ized version of the book. That's not a word, but I made it a word.
Right.
You know what it means.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's given a lot of interviews and a lot of it's been translated, and I don't know, how correctly it's all been translated. That's impossible for me to say, but I think we know the story.
Yeah.
It's there if you want to go digging for it.
Right.
And also we've been helped by a lot of Nintendo leaks that have sort of filled in some of the gaps of, some curiosities people have had maybe about it.
Right. Even, with that Giga leak last year, was that crazy detail about they were floating the idea, at least there was a PowerPoint presentation about making a Pokemon MMO for the Nintendo Q. Is that how you pronounce it? The Chinese console?
The IQ.
The IQ. Okay. Yeah, it's just
some sort of persistent world thing. I don't know if it was quite an MMO, but it was some sort of persistent world that was Pokemon based. And I mean, I don't know, like there's a lot of interesting things in there if you go digging that I can't, maybe just look at what's been reported on rather than doing the digging yourself, because I can't really endorse that. But
yeah. Nicole,
Nancy,
how's
do you
your...
remember what they said about Tajiri when we went on that trip to the Game Freak to talk to them?
No, what'd they say?
We wanted to talk to him, and they were like, he's not available. And I was like, well, what is he doing these days? And they were like, well, he's doing a lot of media research.
Oh, that's
And I was like, okay. And then I remember like coming home.
Binge watching.
Doesn't that just mean like watching TV? I mean, by all means, he certainly has the legacy to just sit around and watch TV all he wants. Like, absolutely.
As far as I understand, after Gen 3, he just kind of went on vacation. And
hell yeah, do that.
Might still be on vacation. I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
Like there was some funny thing where he's like, "Oh, I'm researching new places for the next Pokemon game." I'm like, that just looks like going on vacation to me. But
yeah. I went to London for 6 months, and the Galar region just came to me.
it's
Eureka!
research.
It could be here right now. Nicole, 25 years in, how's your Pokemon fandom going?
Stronger than ever.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like a lot. So I'm a lifer. Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow have done every iteration. Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Coliseum. I have 2 transfer packs still.
Jesus.
Yeah. So this is Dragonite. Just saying hi.
All right.
And no, lifelong, huge, hardcore into it as a Jigglypuff stuffed animal on my bed right now. But at the same time, I'm not as stoked for the big announcements as I wanted to be. Just saying it.
Really?
Yeah.
We can get into it. What about them?
Well, first of all, I, felt that like I've given my life to Nintendo in a way that surely they could feel that. And they knew that I didn't have a job this week. And it would have been so sick if they were like, and you know what? Today we're releasing the original Pokemon Snap. And so like a part of me was hoping when that like announcement for like the 25th anniversary was going to happen, we would get some sort of today announcement or something big and like tangible for the day. And so that didn't happen, and that bummed me out. But then like I just feel like Shiny Pearl and Glimmering
Please, Brilliant Diamond. Yeah.
Brilliant ethically sourced diamond, I think is going to be, it doesn't look as up-res as I had hoped. It looks more like they added a layer of extra pixels to the 10 pixels they had. And I was really hoping for something more in the visuals of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, of Sword and Shield, something a little more, current.
Yeah, well, let's unpack this. Okay, so they announced the remake of Diamond and Pearl, the first DS Pokemon games, and it's Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl here coming out later this year. And the visuals are really bizarre. Like, the most confusing thing to me is it looks like the battles still have the same art style as like the Let's Go series. But then outside of the battles, Sarah, how do they look? How would you describe what that thing looks like?
It kind of looks like Playmobil. Like the little Playmobil people.
Right.
That you would play with as a kid, and they make them nice and blocky so like babies can hold them. But I'm glad that we're kind of returning to like, I was nostalgic for the top-down Pokemon look.
Right.
I was nostalgic for that for like with Sword and Shield. So I'm glad they were going back to that, but I don't know. This isn't the direction I would have gone when it comes to art style.
I wrote down shiny and round when I was looking at it. I'm like, it's just, I like the top-down and kind of chibi-ish style, but the Playmobil thing is spot on. Like, it looks like a shiny child toy, and not in like, because Link's Awakening, the remake of that one, also sort of has that going on, but it's beautiful. So I don't.
Yeah, certainly when I saw it.
If you're gonna do that, you gotta, I don't know, stylize it a little bit more.
You gotta have kind of that tilt shift or something that Link's Awakening had going for it, I think is the key differentiator.
There's almost like, it's like a third person versus a top down, and like, just like that simple camera angle shift like makes you feel more in the world, for me anyway.
Yeah.
It's also a color thing too. I didn't think I thought the colors were all extremely saturated and bright, and
It's Pokemon. Hey, what are you gonna do? But
yeah.
so yeah, it's cool that we're getting the remake of Diamond Pearl. Fans have wanted it for a long time. So it's being developed by ILCA, Ilka. I don't know exactly how they pronounce it, but I looked it up, Kyle, and apparently the development studio Ilka, it stands for I Love Computer Art. So please remember that.
Anyway,
And
I love MS Paint was taken.
You know the funniest sort of reaction to the art style to me, because people are down on it. Like I'm kind of like, I think it looks cute. I'm not too hurt about it one way or another, but I was at Target doing like my weekly grocery shopping, was not wearing anything video game related, was not buying anything video game related, and the young guy at the Target checkout counter, I was just buying groceries. He's like, "Hey, what do you think of that new Pokemon art style?"
What?
It's like, I was like, "Do I just look like a Pokemon fan to you?"
I mean, you do.
He took one look at you and he was like, "This guy knows."
I don't know. And I don't know if maybe he like recognized me from shopping there previously, but just to me, that said so much about it that I was like, this guy in public is even just like wants to talk about how he doesn't like the art style, which is so odd to me.
I really thought it was going to be mobile as well. Like, especially when the text popped up. I think there's only like one text window and it just says like thud. And the text window's like the size of half the screen. I'm like, okay, that's clearly means it's coming to mobile. But at least according to this, still just Switch. But it would be a smart move to release on mobile too if they ever would want to.
The text box kind of is misleading because that's sort of a memorable dumb part of the game.
Oh, okay.
Where there's a loud, like he runs into you and there's a thud.
Okay, so it's not actually.
I don't think you can say definitively that that's like the text box size or.
See, Kelsey, this is why you're here. This is why you're a genius historian. You know all of these things. Also, speaking of,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had to.
No, I love it. By the way, this is a super deep cut. So just because you're a historian doesn't mean that you have to know all these names. But it said it was being co-directed by Yuichi Ueda, and at least according to like Moby Games, I don't know how much stock he put in them, but apparently he goes way back, and he was like a programmer on the Batman game from 1989. That Sunsoft made and stuff like that, but it seems like a real old timer. But they also say this being co-directed by Masuda that's working on this. I think it's kind of just trying to put some Game Freak stamp on it saying, oh no, we got the real deal. Masuda's going to oversee this thing. Don't worry about it. But still exciting to go back, I guess.
Wait, this might be a dumb question. I mean, hasn't Game Freak developed all these, or is this the first like outside developer coming in to do a remake, or have others been remade by others than Game Freak?
I think it's always been Game Freak that's been doing it, just like a different team within Game Freak. So yeah, it definitely is.
Because they haven't really done very many remakes. Yeah, that loves computer art. Because like even like the Pokemon Yellow and Silver remakes that I think came out, what did they release those on? Like the 3DS?
Well, the
like
Gold
those
and
were
Silver
just
one?
straight ports. And so like there hasn't been a ton of opportunity or need for outside developers, I feel like. And then I'm sure Game Freak, don't they own it pretty much with Nintendo? So they have their hands in every game in some capacity.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the ownership of Pokemon is one of those questions that is still mind-boggling, even though, yeah, I've been to Game Freak twice, and Kyle, you wrote that article specifically about who owns Pokemon. It was very nice to like sit down with them and be like, please explain this to us.
They pulled out a whiteboard and drew a Venn diagram, and I still couldn't definitively answer the question.
I think
Is that
Right
real?
here, guys.
They literally drew out a Venn diagram for you?
Yeah,
That's who
I think
owns
we have a
Pokemon.
photo of it.
Oh, right, Nicole's Heart, of course. No, so Kyle, I went and looked it up in the magazine just to go back and check, like, yeah, who does own Pokemon? And it said Nicole's Heart.
It's weird, but
last name.
we got some good contracts in really early in the project, and I want to thank my lawyers for just really fighting for me.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
did it. They did it.
Thanks for keeping the franchise
So were you
alive.
behind?
Really?
Were you behind that thing where they renamed Topeka, Kansas to Topekachu, Kansas for a day? Because that was a really good touch.
I fought for just straight on Togepi, Kansas, and so that was actually a compromise. Yeah.
But technically, so it is Game Freak, Creatures, and Nintendo all co-own the Pokemon IP. And then they created the Pokemon Company in 1999, I believe. And then the producing role transitioned at that point from Creatures, which mainly focuses on the cards, to Pokemon Company. But Kyle, thinking more about that trip, the first trip out there was a lot about like the history of Pokemon. I am still trying to wrap my mind around the success of Pokemon out of the gate. where I went back and checked some data. In the first year after Pokemon released in the States, Pokemon grossed $5 billion, which apparently was almost as much as the entire game industry combined. Yet this thing that blows my mind is talking to Game Freak. Do you remember they were talking about Gold and Silver? And they're like, yeah, we were developing Gold and Silver and we just ran out of money. Like Game Freak was really broke, so we had to do a bunch of other projects for other publishers to try and make money. But I just cannot imagine how that works with how much money Pokemon has made. And it kind of goes into the larger theme of Pokemon, I think, which is like Game Freak is the creative powerhouse fueling this entire engine. And there's all these slices of the pie that other companies are taking away. And yet at the same time, Game Freak still feels like this small little independent studio, and they prefer having small teams. They don't want to blow anything out when it's the biggest property on Earth. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's weird, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that it would be totally different if it were like an American-based company. Like I don't think that it would, the quality of it wouldn't have been the focus. It would have been, how can we make as much money as humanly possible? Not that, Pokemon aren't on every piece of merchandise possible.
Right.
But I do feel like they took care, because they have smaller teams and because they take this brand so seriously, they've had such quality control over their products in a way that it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, Pokemon Company releases some of those mobile games that are a little bit like Magikarp Jump was fine, but at the same time,
Fair.
I mean, there is a line,
It was a good
Like
week.
fans know when it's core Pokemon and spin-off. Like there's, you know what I mean? There's no confusion there, really.
Right.
Well, it's like the core games that get people to love the franchise and then go buy all the other crap. Like buy, just infinite plushies and shirts and all the merch that kind of keeps making money forever. You have to have the good game behind that, or the game that is, I don't know. I honestly, I love Pokemon, but I think it's less about the games being super good and more about them being really good at capturing imaginations and making you feel excited to be a part of this world.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
No, I think that's
so.
I think that's correct. Yeah, every time I play Pokemon, it's definitely the idea of playing Pokemon is always more exciting than just going through these battles and leveling up these fools again and again and again. I mean, when I die and my life flashes before my eyes, it's just going to be like talking to a professor in a Pokemon game. I feel like I've played that same intro 3,000 times at this part.
You white it out.
Yes, exactly. You can't get away from it. Does anybody have any, I mean, clearly you know it, Kelsey, but does anybody have any big defining memories of Diamond and Pearl? I mean, for me, I love Pokemon. I've played and finished all of them except for Black and White, which I understand is sacrilegious. But Diamond and Pearl just felt like a fine iteration. It was like the first DS one, so they were pushing the bottom screen so hard for all the different apps. And I remember you could have like a calculator in Pokemon in case you needed that. But does anybody have any strong affection towards Diamond and Pearl?
I wouldn't say it's a strong affection. I have one bad memory. I'll just get out of it, and then we can go into how much you guys enjoy it. Because I'm just going to say that the Master Ball, getting the Master Ball in that game, you go into some kind of base, and you can leave the base without getting the Master Ball, and then the base goes away or something.
Oh,
so
no.
I remember I played that game, and I missed out on the Master Ball somehow, and it destroyed me, and I never recovered. And not as a Pokemon player, as a person. So, okay, you guys' turn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I finished Diamond and Pearl. I think that was one of the few Pokemon games that I didn't make it all the way to the end.
This is okay, so this proves the point that I was going to bring in today, which is that I think we are all so every one of us here played the original Pokemon games. We're Gen 1ers or whatever, we've started from the beginning. Okay, that's because we're old enough to have been born and, around when those games were around. For people slightly younger than us, this is one of their favorite games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people our age and older, Diamond and Pearl were okay.
Well, you think about how many
they had. I mean, I think they had some pacing issues, and it was.
That was.
I don't know.
The
it
big
was
thing was the double
game.
map, right? You had Sinnoh. Was that what was Diamond and Pearl's thing? Did it have a really big map? Or it had
big
different
map with a big mountain in the middle.
Yeah, and I was
Silver and Gold had the
map
two
is too
maps.
damn big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I mean, it's shocking that like how many people had this be their first Pokemon game, but it's like you look at how many copies this thing sold. It is millions and millions and millions of people. This was their first Pokemon game. So
I think it's the third best-selling in the franchise.
Just because DS numbers were off the charts.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the DS was like the first handheld for an enormous amount of people, or at least the first handheld they got really into. You know, I think everyone knows the DS is like the best-selling handheld of all time. So for those people, like this is the Pokemon game, and I think we are just all the incorrect age.
Yep.
To have that experience.
Yeah.
Can we all name like
the first one with
Pokemon
online
games?
connectivity too.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Sarah's question. You're asking what is the Pokemon game for us?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always tempting to go with the first, but probably it was Pokemon Silver for me because I was so looking forward to it. That was probably the first instance of like really getting into games and really anticipating something. And I was just a terrible, immoral child. And so I would always download like the Japanese ROMs. And so I was looking forward to it so much to be like, okay, we have the ROM just dropped for Pokemon Silver. It's now 10% translated. So I'd play that up until it all just went apart and I don't know what anybody was saying. And then it was like, okay, we had a new version that's 35% translated. So I download that and play through it and just like kept going through these different iterations. So like Pokemon Silver, especially the beginning of Silver, is in my soul and I can't let it out.
Oh, you ruined it for yourself.
No, it's still good. Don't worry.
That's actually, other than the pirating part, that's almost identical to me. I mean, obviously the first one is the one that kind of captures the imagination. So for me, that was Pokemon Blue. But Pokemon Gold and Silver, I played Silver first. And I think that's still my favorite generation. But I was also living in a town near Detroit called Novi at the time, which for whatever reason had a very high Japanese population. And so I actually had classmates that had Pokemon stuff early.
No.
So I got to see a little bit of it beforehand, but they were, they're kind of stingy with it. They're like, no. I really had to wait for it to come out. And also I didn't understand Japanese. So I didn't spoil it for myself too much.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Do you remember if they had stuff even before like Blue came out then?
I was not living there at that time yet.
Okay, because that would be...
I only lived there for like 2 or 3 years.
Right. Yeah, that would be amazing. Because I just remember that era too. There were so many rumors floating around about Pokemon. I remember, a friend adamantly arguing like, no, I caught Peekaboo. There is a Pokemon called Peekaboo and I caught it in red and green or, blue and red. It's like, there's no such thing. And now it's like, is this just like a weird game of telephone where somebody saw a picture of Meryl like in Japan and then called it Peekaboo? There's so many weird
American
stories
sources called it Peekaboo.
What's that?
American sources called it Peekaboo.
Oh, so that was actually a thing that was written somewhere in America, just looking at a picture of Meryl?
It was written in magazines in America. It was written, like a bunch of times. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if at one point Meryl's name was going to be Peekaboo. Like that might have actually come from the top.
Yeah, maybe my friend actually caught him. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, what do you think, Sarah, is like the most underrated Pokemon thing? Pokemon piece of media.
My underrated Pokemon thing? I have a really soft spot for Pokemon Channel that nobody liked. I have like the softest spot for Pokemon Channel, and the entire game was on the Nintendo GameCube, and all you just watched TV with Pikachu. You sat in a room and you watched TV with Pikachu. They had a shopping channel. They had a workout channel. You could watch episodes of the Pichu Bros, like actual television episodes of Pichu Bros.
Wait, what is that? Like live action?
It was like an anime. It was like a little short story anime in the same style as the Pokemon anime about 2 Pichu brothers who just kind of got into all types of trouble. And they had a little gang. It was like no humans involved. It was just like a Pokemon anime about Pokemon.
Perfect. That sounds ideal. Kelsey?
So Pokemon Channel, I'm sorry to keep butting in, but I have a good anecdote about this, and I brought it over just in case Pokemon Channel comes up.
Do you have Pokemon Channel?
But
is that what you're holding in your hand?
So this is the Japanese version, but I have a fun piece of trivia about this because that's what I do. Just annoying about dumb trivia. So there is an accessory in Japan called the GameCube SD card reader. And we've got one right here. For anyone who's watching this on YouTube or whatever. But it's like a memory card that has a little SD card slot in it. And it's not a real memory card. It doesn't save like your games. It actually only works with 2 games, and one of them is Pokemon Channel. And it just lets you, like, you know, the coloring program in there?
Yeah,
it just like lets you take screenshots of that so you can print it. That's it.
See, I could never print it. I just colored and it disappeared forever.
All the data's erased at this point.
World's most useful or useless accessory, depending on who you ask.
That's such a weird detail. Did anybody ever check out that Pokemon Origins series on YouTube from a couple years ago? It was surprisingly cool, where they like readapted the first games, but as just like a 4 or 5 part YouTube series. And it was like weird and kind of violent. Like Charmander was like biting off Pikachu's face. It kind of like got back in that same mold as like the original manga, which is also weirdly aggressive, and they're like slicing Arbok in half and stuff and that. But it's cool, and they still have it up on their YouTube channel. And they have like the soundtrack from the games in there instead of just, you know, the anime stuff. But that's probably my favorite under the radar Pokemon thing.
I like that. Well, that's a good answer.
Mine was wholesome.
Yeah.
Watch TV with Pikachu. Yours is like, remember when it was violent?
Yeah, sometimes.
You could cut up Pokemon.
That
things were better.
Days. There actually is like a weird thing too. There's another YouTube series called Pokemon Generations, which is like the grittiest version of Pokemon I've ever seen, where they have this one episode, like the 4th episode or something, and it's just like a SWAT team raiding like this Team Rocket base. But it's bizarre because it's like Machoke like kicking down a door. It is like basically the end of Zero Dark 30, except with Pokemon, and it is freaking weird. I love it.
Like, I could barely handle Charmander in the rain. And like, what is this?
Sadness is a concept? I don't know. Nicole, does anything jump out to you for underrated Pokemon thing?
Well, I'll say that to jump back to my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. Pokemon Silver was my favorite. And I'm sure it's the same thing where it was just, you know, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow taught us what it was. And then Silver Gold was when we anticipated it. And then the thing about Silver and Gold was that it had 2 worlds. Right. So it was like the first time where I got 2 games and I didn't know it. Like that felt like a value as like a 12-year-old or however old I was. Don't do the math. And so that was exciting. Underrated. I think that it's so fun to play. Pokemon Stadium has the transfer pack, but you could do it where you could play the Pokemon games on your TV. Like that was revolutionary. And so I would play my Game Boy games on my TV. And like that was, how cool is that?
That is awesome. That is a cool little detail for sure. Hey, did anybody watch that weird Post Malone concert?
I did.
What do you think of it, Sarah?
Jammed out for 15 minutes.
That was my underrated Pokemon thing.
Malone concert? I mean, Kyle, guess right now how many YouTube views that has on the Pokemon channel.
800,000.
20 million.
20 million, says Nicole. Any other guesses?
Million.
Sarah frickin' nailed it. 2.1 million.
Hello, I work in social media.
Very impressive.
I know what the numbers are going to be.
That's honestly lower than I was expecting. Like, I know it's not fair to compare everything to Fortnite, but I looked up just like some unofficial version of the Travis Scott concert in Fortnite. It's at 138 million. And so maybe this will grow or something, but like they really went all out with the production. It's just like a 20-minute animated film, basically, with Post Malone flying around a Pokemon world.
Walking in a circle. I was like, why does he keep walking in a circle?
Yeah.
It's also ignoring all the cool Pokemon around him. Like,
yeah, I was like,
Charizard's like flying in circles around him, and he's just like, whatever.
Lugia, like, I'm like, that's legendary.
Yeah, Audrey, friend of the show, she made a lot of MinnMax merch for the Deepest Dive and stuff like that. She tweeted something that I didn't believe it was real, but I went back and checked the concert, and there's this moment in that concert where the lyrics are, "Thought you were special, but it was just the sex though. The sex though." And then at that moment, like a Lugia flies by.
Yeah. It should distract the children. Like,
so
you heard nothing
real?
Legendary.
Is there really the word sex in the Pokemon song?
Yes.
Why did they pick that? Like, it's not like Hootie and the Blowfish makes sense for Pokemon. Like,
Right.
what?
I don't know. Maybe they just
Pokemalone?
It was like the softest song or something that he could possibly sing. I don't know. It was a weird choice. Okay, we should probably talk about the other big announcements from the rest of this
I
thing.
just want to say that my favorite Pokemon game is Sapphire. My favorite Pokemon game is Sapphire, okay? I'm going to just divert.
Please.
I'm a Zillennial. I stake my claim on Pokemon Sapphire.
What is it about Sapphire, other than the soundtrack?
I mean, I think it was just my first handheld
Sapphire.
Was Game Boy Advance. And I played Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Blue on my Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Game Boy Color, never owned one. But Pokemon Sapphire was the first Game Boy Advance game. And that was the game that I like stayed awake under my covers for with my little Game Boy Advance Lite to play like late into the night. So that just hit me at like my Pokemon age of like 12.
Yeah.
And you guys probably all played Silver.
Yeah, and I will say that I played Pokemon Leaf Green when it came out when I was in my like 20s.
Yeah.
Again, don't do that math. But like that was fun. Like that was really fun because it was like an updated version of the Red and Blue, but I was an adult now. And so like I really appreciated all the upgrades they made and all of the upgrade to the animation. And the animation to Leaf Green looks very similar to the Pearl and Diamond remakes. Saying it.
Yeah, kind of the same ballpark. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember Kyle talking to Masuda at Game Freak about developing Ruby and Sapphire in particular? And he was talking about
it was the most stressful one for them, I think, right?
Yeah, it said that it almost killed him literally. Like he was working so hard, and they were worried because the storyline was Pokemon's dead, it's not coming back. It turns out it was a fad before Ruby and Sapphire came out, and so Game Freak was like, well, we're going to prove the world wrong. We're going to kill ourselves trying to make this game. And then Masuda ended up in the hospital because of what he just said was like stomach issues while trying to develop that game because it was so stressful for them. But they did it, and then little baby Sarah got to play it, so it all works out.
Your Pokemon game.
I really like the region in that game. I mean, sure, there's too much water or whatever, but like the actual cities in there are really pretty, and like just the part where you're running around and collecting all the ash off of the grass and stuff. I mean, I don't know, all those things are just very like nice and pretty, and I still
is that where they introduced Dive as a HM?
Yeah.
So there was Dive was introduced. The beauty contests were introduced, which I really enjoyed. Big fan.
I like that too. Apparently people hated that.
No,
yeah, I couldn't. I like the idea of it, but then my repeated failed execution of somehow feeling like I was making my Pokemon uglier, like made me feel like this is not for me.
Hey, Nicole, what'd you think about that new Pokemon Snap trailer?
I honestly just wanted the remake. I want the original one. Like, I want it. I have it for the N64. I don't know why I need it again, but I do. I thought it looked great. I thought that
Wii U. I think the eShop's still online.
That's true.
Is it really? But yeah, I thought that it looks really pretty. I'm excited about the graphics. I'm excited to like time myself like I used to, and like, can I get everything in an hour? Can I get to Celebi in an hour? I'm excited.
Yeah, I was really struck by just a lot of weird details in there. Like they throw an apple, but then they make it very clear that it's not an apple, it's a fluff fruit. And then my world was turned upside down. Like, wait, were they fluff fruits the entire time and we all just called them apples in the original?
No, I think they were apples and pester balls.
Well, right, definitely pester balls.
I actually think they weren't called apples. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, they look exactly like
2016 I played it. And I remember, I kind of have a memory of that being a strange thing about it.
Weird. Yeah, maybe in the introduction they call it that.
I like to keep all of the professor's like one-liners from that game. Like I just use them all the time. Like, oh, you were close. Like those kind of things. Like I use that a lot.
Yes, exactly. It's timeless stuff. Well, now you have the precious Professor Mir to help you out. The guy who looks strangely like Kyle Hilliard. Maybe that's what the Target guy saw. Is you look so much like that weird professor that he just assumed you knew all about the remakes. But they also have other stuff like you can make Pokemon glow with magical orbs so they look cool at night and weird stuff like that. But I am really curious to see what like the social aspect is for this. Like they are a little bit cagey about it. They say, hey, if your photo becomes popular, it might even be featured somewhere. And so I'm curious,
right. And then the messaging they used was, and we want you to come back and see your scores and try harder. And it was like, did a game developer write this PR copy? Like, this is just what your game core loop is. Like, that's not PR. Like, I thought it was so weird.
It was bizarre, yeah. But the cool thing in this one, they say that like the Pokemon's behaviors will change and stuff as you get better scores as you move on. So it's nice to have some feedback there. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. It's coming out April 30th. But
I really liked what they showed really quickly, like that every Pokemon seems to have a spot for 4 pictures for the 4 different star levels.
Right.
So, and I think again, it's kind of vague, but like it kind of looks like they all correlate to different behaviors. So it's like, okay, every Pokemon can do 4 different things.
Right.
So maybe there's like a base, just whatever you're catching them, walking, doing whatever, and then there's different things you can like set up and get different shots. So I don't know, that kind of, I like that because it's like, okay, I got this cool shot, but that was only the 3-star shot. So what's the
right? What if I get a Poke Flute? Like, what is that shot going to be?
Yeah.
Completely different. But yeah, the big oh yes, Kyle.
By the way, apples in the game, as far as I can tell, were referred to as Pokemon food. I don't think they were ever called apples in the game.
What?
Okay, but Pokemon
Don't
food,
eat one.
not Poke
Can
food.
correct me, but there's one Wikipedia article here that refers to it as apple-shaped Pokemon food. So
I love
Accurate.
apple-shaped Pokemon food. But yeah, the big
Looks exactly like an apple.
So
It is
familiar.
apple-shaped Pokemon.
But yeah, the big reveal from this frickin' stream was Pokemon Legends Arceus. The Pokemon Breath of the Wild game that fans have been demanding for, I'd say, 4 years now. Ever since Breath of the Wild came out.
almost to the day of recording.
But realistically, I guess just like fully open world Pokemon is something that people have been screaming for 20 of its 25 years, I think now.
Yeah.
Kyle, what'd you think of that?
Well, I'm excited for it. It's the thing that I'm most interested in playing for sure. Like I probably won't touch the Diamond and Pearl remake. But that's what I want. I just want to be able to run around. I want to be able to actively throw Pokeballs without entering a menu. Like that seems great.
Yeah, like them changing up, obviously not having UI on the screen, it's tough to figure out exactly what's going on in a lot of situations. Yeah. But there's a couple weird things.
Right.
Like the fact that they call it an action RPG, it's like, I'm curious what that means. And then they also have the dodge roll in there where it's like, what are we dodging?
And they showed us 3 different ways of capturing Pokemon. There was like, or at least interacting with them. There was just throwing the ball. There was just sending your Pokemon over to kick it. And then there was fighting, like in a more traditional battle. Yeah. And so like, it's unclear how that's going to work. And then how is that communicated to me if there's no UI? And so I'm wondering, did they announce what the UI is for real not there? Or is this just...
No, I think it's just
in the temporary game footage.
I mean,
they probably just stripped it out to look nicer. Yeah. But the other thing I like about it is going into the past of that world. I mean, that's such a fun thing that they rarely do. Pokemon Conquest, the only one that I can think of
the
that
weird
like
DS game
went back in time. So like that was easily the thing I was most excited about from that whole presentation. Like it's like what I want from Pokemon, Exactly.
Yeah. So it's in the Sinnoh region.
We'll see if it lives up to that, but on paper, it's what
Because so like, I have a question for you about that. So you like the idea of it going back in time and exploring that idea. From the trailer, it kind of just seemed like the architecture of the village was retro, and their costumes were kind of were more ancient as well. Are there other elements other than those like 2 aesthetic choices that you're looking for?
The Pokeballs look like they're made of wood, and they actually have a metal clasp on them that you have to it looks like you manually open.
It's like a little zipper on a Pokeball.
Unless I'm misremembering, it seems like they were pretty clear that it was, didn't they state that this is like a historical Pokemon game? Or
no, they absolutely did.
Called it like
they
ancient Sinnoh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing where it's in Sinnoh, but then they say like, there's one town and people came from all over the world. And that's why the starters are Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott. Just like, let's just get some new ones. And people online are trying to speculate about why those 3. And they say like, their evolutions kind of look ancient is like the best fan theory, which sure. But that is like the weird thing where we've wanted open world Pokemon for so long. We got the wild areas, not too long ago. And then with this, it's like, this is really exciting. And I just worry a little bit about, okay, is it just going to be the one town? We're not going to have gyms. Like, I'm excited for them to shake it up, but I think we should all keep our expectations in check. Like, what if it is just like this one town and then you can go out into this decent sized world and catch Pokemon and come back, and it's not as rich of an experience as we were hoping for?
I mean,
so I got my hot take here is that people don't actually want. I mean, you can say whatever, like, we want Pokemon Breath of the Wild, we want blah, blah, blah. No, what people want is we want Pokemon to be real. We want there to be a world that exists that actually looks like it is a real lived-in world that Pokemon are existing in. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Detective Pikachu, that movie, that really did that for me. That was like, oh, this is what a world with Pokemon in it would look like. And so I think it's less about it being like Breath of the Wild with a Pokemon skin and more of it being just getting to play around in a world where it actually looks like Pokemon and people exist together in this world. And what does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your behaviors are more in line with what your behaviors would be like in real life. You know, like you would just throw the Pokeball, you know? So I think that element also lets you pretend in that more fun way. I mean,
I just want to walk east and see what I find, which is not something you can do in Pokemon. I mean, you really
I'm on an Ambi Turner.
Yeah, like I hope. I mean, my as I was watching, I was like, please show someone jumping off a cliff and grabbing onto like Pidgey's foot or something.
Just like the full paraglider?
Glide down to the ground, you know? Like,
man, I would not put it past it.
I just want to be able to go anywhere I want, any direction at any time, you know?
I mean, the amount...
If traveling is fun, then I'm sold. Yes. Like, if just walking around and climbing and traveling, like, I mean, that's what Breath of the Wild is, right? Like, to me, it's way less about any of the dungeons and stuff in that game and more about the fact that climbing and gliding and all of that stuff is fun.
Just coming across stuff. You know, and if that stuff is different Pokemon, hell yeah.
Did you guys play the DLC for Sword and Shield?
No, I didn't.
Armor Island and the Frozen Tundra? I played both of those, and they're both open world expansions.
Right.
In the same way that the wild area is. And so I think that, you know, there's not climbing or gliding in that sense, but there's diving and sort of surfing. But like, that area is, we have the hills and dungeons and there's the water and tundra, and like there is a bunch of environments, and you do get that wild area feel, and it feels much more real and lived in than the wild area itself. So I think that if that is what they're going to build off of for the Legends game, that could be pretty exciting, because they do set up that world in a really interesting way where there are Pokemon just popping up and lots of materials everywhere. I could imagine there being an element where you collect materials to make your Pokeballs, stuff like that.
Right. Ooh, some sort of crafting there. Yeah, that could be interesting. I was just amazed, like, how hard they were hitting the Breath of the Wild. Like, that one shot of, like, the camera flying by. It's unbelievable. Even, like, the soundtrack. Music, right? Yeah, it's just, like, this weird subdued cello. It's like, oh, my God, they're making it very clear what their inspiration is, which I guess it's a smart move based on the sales of both things. And now you combine them, it's got to be double that, right?
And also all the other Breath of the Wild clones, right?
Right.
I mean, there's also been a couple of those that have done really well.
Yeah.
And then Breath of the Wild arguably cloned a bunch of elements from other games that are still, you know, rocking. Skyrim, Monster Hunter, all those kind of elements.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Monster Hunter. I'm curious if, like, what the Pokemon series is going to be like moving forward. If it is going to be a little bit of that Monster Hunter vein of, I guess now with Rise, they're kind of trying to align things more. But before it was like, okay, is this going to be a Monster Hunter game in the scale of world, or is it going to be more like a 3DS and actually have different regions? And so I'm just wondering how they handle that with the Pokemon series. Is it going to be the Legend series ongoing, are kind of this freeform, freaky, and then we'll also have the faithful, probably remakes, right? Where it's like, okay, we're going to keep the remake train rolling for the classic fans that aren't into the more exploration
I hope so,
focus.
because in X and Y, like one of the big plot point in X and Y is they keep alluding to the ancient Pokemon Wars that occurred. Like the biggest plot point in X and Y is like they keep alluding to these Pokemon Wars, and I don't think we're gonna get that in this version, because this is obviously more like feudal Japan, and like X and Y was set in France.
Yeah,
but I do hope that they dig into that, because they kept referencing this great Pokemon War. I'm just like, where is it? Sounds awesome. Would love to see it.
Yeah, that was the weird
thing.
The
Pokemon War is a mess. Like, you cannot actually go back and fix all of this and make it all make sense. So they've introduced
Hyrule
a lot
Warriors.
of these.
Oh, they could Hyrule
We'll
Warriors.
make a Hyrule Warriors of the Pokemon Wars. I solved it. Hi, I'm Nicole Pokemon.
And it's coming to CW this fall, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm curious to see if they ever get to Legends for, God, what is the name of the France area then? Because then it's like you got to deal with that 30-foot tall homeless man and all those weird elements in X and Y that no one ever talks about. It's insane. So the big thing that people were talking about with the Legends trailer was that that footage looked a little rough. You know, it's cool that they were showing it this early. They're saying it's coming out early 2022. But the frame rate was pretty rough. The resolution was pretty rough. And so, Kyle, do you think this is like fueling speculation about a Switch Pro? Or is it just, Game Freak isn't that technically strong of a studio, sadly. They want to keep their team small, and this is just going to be what it is.
No, I think it's that.
Yeah.
100%. I also think it's early, too. I mean, I hope that it does get cleaned up. I don't mind they had the sort of Pokemon almost having like limited frames when they're out in the wild.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't hate that as long as it's approached from like a stylistic way, but the sort of the core like just looked really fuzzy and the frame rate overall was kind of meh. Like that's disheartening, but I think it is just a big game, you know, that Game Freak is experimenting on, and I'm just hopeful that it'll look better by the time it comes out, you know.
I'm so, because to me, the quality of this game paired with the fact that they chose Skyward Sword to start the Zelda celebration with, to me says, oh, our Switch has limited hardware, because like this, the quality of this footage didn't look A+. And Skyward Sword was a game that reeked of limitations. You literally had the same level over and over and over again because you couldn't fit new levels into that. There just wasn't the hardware space. So like the fact that they're doing these two games and they look this way, it makes me concerned that either we're not going to get a Switch Pro as soon as we had hoped, or that when we do get it, developers aren't going to make it a priority because the Lite and the other versions don't need to be that high res. And that's crushing to me because I want my Switch to be like 16K.
Yeah, I think the fact that they didn't show more about the Breath of the Wild sequel and the fact that this is slated for early 2022 kind of makes me believe that 2022 would be that Switch Pro date, but you know, you can't.
They wouldn't make Breath of the Wild 2 a Switch Pro exclusive.
Not exclusive, but I think it's going to be one of those. Well, they just would show.
They would have a bundle, I'm sure, with like a skin on it. Like, because I bought the Wii U Wind Waker bundle because I'm a sucker for Triforces, big time sucker. And it's literally like 4 decals. And I do it again.
Right, you got to do it.
Well, but also, I mean, you got to think about the Wii U and Switch versions of Breath of the Wild going hand in hand, and the Wii and GameCube versions of Twilight Princess going hand in hand. Like, it could totally be one of those situations. And, you know, I will be there day one because I'm a sucker. Yep,
naturally. Pokemon, everybody, still good. Hey, Kyle, real quick, do you want to talk about Maquette, which is the PS Plus game, but it's also out on, what, Epic or Steam?
Yeah, I want to share my quick weird underrated Pokemon thing. It's really specific. So there's that movie. It was called I think it was called like Pokemon I Choose You. It was a movie version of the first few episodes of the anime.
Yeah.
So it's on Netflix, and everyone lost their mind in it because Pikachu talks. He says like "I love you, Ash" or something, right? And while everyone was focusing on that, no one talked about the fact that there's a full sequence in that that movie, where Ash dreams that he lives in the real world, in our world. And he has to like come to understand that Pokemon don't exist. It just shows him going to like Japanese schools.
Is it like The Simpsons when like Homer just wakes up on the bench?
But my daughter watched it and was describing the scene to me. I was like, this isn't a real thing that's in this movie. She's like, no, here, I'll rewind it for you. And yeah, there's a sequence where Ash is just like going to regular Japanese, you know, elementary school or whatever the equivalent is, and he's like, where are all the Pokemon? And everyone's like, what's a Pokemon?
Oh my god. And then he wakes up in asylum the next day and they're like, sir, we don't know what your Pikachu is. I remember where I was.
Pikachu's like the pills he takes.
Oh, no. I remember exactly where I was when the news broke that Pikachu talked in the latest movie, because it caused such a hubbub. It's like I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing. Pikachu talked.
It's like when JFK
and it was
died.
All to distract you from that other dream sequence.
That sounds insane. I think I want to go watch that.
I want to go watch this too.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, Maquette, Kyle?
Maquette. Yeah. It's a puzzle game where you're kind of like solving puzzles in this. I don't know what's the best way to explain it. Like you're looking at a miniature version of something while you're existing inside of a larger version of, and the further you go out, the smaller you become and everything around you becomes. It's very strange. But it's one of those things that if you watch the trailer for it, like you get it. Like once you see it visualized, you kind of understand how the puzzles work. And I played through it. It's good. It has some issues where like you can paint yourself into a corner and you can kind of get stuck and you have to restart puzzles and stuff like that, which is kind of a bummer for these kind of games. But like overall, I liked it, and it has this interesting story, and it's just like it's kind of like Florence. Remember Florence for iOS?
Yeah.
Nancy? It's just a story about a young couple like coming together and sort of splitting apart over time, and just tracking the progression of like what is a pretty typical relationship. And it's actually voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard and her husband, which I didn't realize that they were married.
Are they involved in the project?
They're actors. I think they're hired actors, and
right. But like, are they involved in the development? Because that's such a weird get.
So. Yeah, I don't know. Annapurna, man, they got the email addresses. I guess they can get that.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because
did anybody play Superliminal when it came out?
Yeah,
I like Superliminal more.
Yeah, when I saw the ad for this new game, I was like, that looks like Superliminal, but they inputted weird human emotions into it.
Yeah,
like a story and a relationship.
Does have a weird story about like existing in this weird dream world and how everything's going to be okay. This has a much more dour ending, and I played it with my daughter watching and helping me with puzzles, and I had to have this weird, unexpected, but like nice conversation about not human, but rather adult relationships and how people can argue and stuff like that while we were just trying to solve these puzzles. And then there was also one moment that just made me laugh, because it was this you basically listen into an argument between this couple, and they're like on the verge of breaking up, and it's really intense. And I was like, wow, that was rough. And then ping, you got a trophy.
Like, you did it.
So you're teaching your daughter it pays to get into huge arguments.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. That's but it's
you
really
get rewarded for those.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But go check out a trailer just to see how it functionally works. The trailer does, like any trailer you look up for, it will kind of explain how it works. And there are some really cool puzzle ideas where you're sort of shrinking and growing objects so that like you can travel through them and changing your own personal scale. It's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. It seems to be a good takeaway. Yeah, I started it last night. Yeah. It is just nice to have that moment of, oh, this is a new thing in a video game I've never experienced before, of just seeing this small model of the town, which is also the area that you're in, the full mirror, and just that weird feeling of taking this small cube, dropping it in the small town, and then it's just like, thud, 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 just like this huge rumble and thud as the block that you dropped in that small town is actually landing on the roof of the building that you're in. Like there's cool, unique things happening in there. So yeah, Maquette.
And it's funny, I beat it last night, and then this morning I just came across this animated short film from Rebecca Sugar, who created Steven Universe. It was like this like student animated film she did, which like kind of conceptually uses the same idea of like you existing in a smaller version of a larger thing. And it's just this like 3-minute short film that's really fascinating. And it was cool to see like her Steven Universe style, like sort of used in this weird abstract way. It was just really, it was weird that I happened to come across that short film right after beating Maquette, because it's like the same sort of core idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's bizarre.
Singles.
Hey, Sarah, let's get to real video games. Let's talk about some real stuff here. How's Valheim going for you?
Oh my God, I am addicted. I cannot stop. I cannot stop.
It's dark. Like we had that moment. I'm playing with Star of Hitman 3 Grant and best friend Ronnie, who's been on Deepest Dives and stuff like that. But we've been playing, and we hit that moment where like I woke up and it was the first thing I wanted to do, and I realized like this is it. Like it has its full hooks in me. I cannot stop thinking about just gathering resources.
I keep hearing about it. Give me a quick sales pitch. Go.
Sarah, take it away. You're smarter than I am.
Okay. So Valheim is you're basically a bunch of Norse, I guess I would say Vikings, dropped in this world of gods and monsters and beasts. And you're given the task of basically, first you have to survive. Everything you want and you need has to be built, hunted, and gathered. And then in order to get to Valhalla, you must defeat all of the bosses. I think there's 4 bosses?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Maybe 5?
Elite 4?
4? There's a 4, and then there might be like a 5th final boss. But you're dropped onto this map and you don't know where anything is. You can only see yourself and the area you've explored, and you can only like reveal your own map. So it's your job to kind of, number one, survive, which is very difficult. You know, build a shelter, cut down a bunch of trees, find food, set up a living situation. And then you kind of have to push your boundaries of fighting these bosses that get progressively difficult. So it's kind of I guess I would describe it as like a Minecraft game.
Yeah.
But
it's
let's
like,
put some plot in there.
right.
It almost sounds like what Fortnite was when it was first announced. You know, like you build this base and you get ready for these like day-night cycles of monsters, which is like what Fortnite was for like a year in like 2013 or something, you know, like.
Right. It does. You know, I think a real turning point for this game was like, okay, building up my house, that's fun. But then getting to the point of like, oh, we need to build a fence because we're being raided so much by these stupid greylings.
So
and the shaman from hell. And so then we end up like building like this whole fence and fortress and then just seeing like these waves of monsters come and try and get in, having to repair that, like accidentally luring a troll to your base and he just like wreaks havoc on your wall trying to get through. It is so fun. Or even just like being out in the woods at night gathering resources and you just think you see something moving in the distance, like, oh great, yep, of course, right now I'm stuck with a cart wrapped around my waist and then a troll comes out and I can't separate from the cart in time and the troll destroys me and destroys the cart and I lose all the bronze. Just good classic survival stories.
Yeah, I laugh so hard playing with my friends at just like the weird stuff that happens. We built a bridge for no reason. Like, I know there's bosses in this game, but we seem entirely focused on just building things. So we built this
property
giant
value,
bridge.
just
Everywhere I go, I find a house, and I'm like, who put this here? Like, what is the real estate market on a mountain? Like, who put this house here? I've been trying to tame wolves, which is very hard. I've died 8 times to a wolf mauling my body, and I'm like, please, I just want you to love me.
Well, you're gonna get it. Keep going at it. Those wolves are, I have a feeling, are gonna be yours.
How do you tame stuff?
Okay. So
it's called love.
You can also tame boars.
I'm not familiar.
You can tame wolves and you can tame boars so far. What you do is you basically use your body as bait and you aggro them and then you lure them into a pen. And then while they're mauling your body, you have to close the pen. And then you get out of the pen should you survive. And then you throw food at them and they'll eat the food. And the more they eat, it's just kind of a time thing. And it says % tamed. So like 10% tamed, 20% tamed. And then if you get enough of them, they have little babies.
Oh,
and you have a steady supply of meat. And some like inbreeding, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Wait, by pen, is it like literally just a wooden corral?
Make a big circle.
That's so weird. This is what's
except
lovable
for the wolves will break out. I did have a panic attack when the wolves broke out of the little fence. You need to use the big fence or stone.
I'm a big Jurassic
Can we build
Park
a
fan.
moat?
I got it.
I think some people build deep, they dig big holes in the ground, and I've seen people capture trolls and just put them in a hole in the ground.
It's like Silence of the Lambs, but like with the troll down in the well.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's a really good game. The most fun thing about this game for me is just like that weird sense of discovery. And it seems stupid to be worried about spoilers for a survival game, but that is like the thrill right now, is trying to figure out how are we uncovering this next boss? You know, like we just took down the second boss. And so now it's just this, we get a very cryptic clue about how to get to the third boss. And it's like the most fun thing in games is just, we don't know what we're going to do. It's an infinite world. We all just have to go explore and hope that we stumble across something that in a very janky way might lead us to something else that's very janky. But you know, it's a fun loop all the way there. Have you gone through a portal yet, Sarah?
We have, right off of our bridge, I named it the Principality of Portals. We have like 8 portals that all lead to different areas of our maps.
Oh my God.
I had an issue where I had a portal going to a mountain and a wolf had camped outside the portal. So every time I came through, it would pin me between me and the wall and the portal, and it just kept killing me. And I was like, please, I just really want my stuff back. But yeah, I love portals. They're a really good way to, because when you take your boat out, you get really far away from base. So make sure you always travel with portal supplies.
Oh, interesting.
So wherever you get, you just slap down a portal and then you can go back home, or else you're on like a 10-minute boat ride. The map is huge.
Yeah.
The map is absolutely enormous.
You sound so much better at this game than we are. I mean, we haven't even touched boats yet. We just got like
the way she described taming an animal sounded really like practiced
Professional.
and professional.
Yeah, it's really high level stuff.
And humane. Just kidding.
Yeah. And I just want to say there was that rumor going around that birds were flying off with boats. Apparently that's false. I'm very sad about it. There was a bug. Well, somebody reported a bug that if a bird landed on your boat, the bird would somehow get ownership of your boat through a bug. And when the bird flew off, it would take your boat with it. But apparently that's not true, and I'm so sad.
That is true.
That sounds like a
idea
feature,
of
not a
bird
bug.
boat
I think,
thieves.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a cruel world. Valheim, everybody, if you're one of the, I think, 20 people on this planet who hasn't played it yet, check it out. Kelsey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What would you like to plug before we ship you on out?
You just did all the plugging for me at the beginning, so I guess I'll just do all that again.
Sure.
I own a couple of video game stores in Seattle, Pink Gorilla Games. Check us out. Buy some merch online, I guess. I don't know. I also co-direct the Video Game History Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to preserving, celebrating, and teaching the history of video games. Check us out at gamehistory.org. And we also have a podcast for the Video Game History Foundation now called the Video Game History Hour. Ooh.
It's very good. If there was like one episode of the podcast you'd point people towards.
The one I did with Ben, where
Okay,
we talked about the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, no, we did. We did that. That's right. I wasn't even thinking about that, but it is fun. But yeah, but there's been better
the
ones.
documentary from Twin Cities Public Television?
That's right. The one that was on TV. That's true.
Oh,
I actually really did enjoy that episode though.
that is really cool.
But if you want like, they're all good, but there's definitely some good ones with some like older developers that might be interesting to people. Like we had a really good episode with Gary Kitchen that I liked a lot. So I don't know, check it out if you like video game history.
What
do
is
that.
What has Gary
stuff.
worked on? I'm sorry, I don't know.
He made the like Atari 2600 port of Donkey Kong, and he did like the Super Battle Tank games and Space Jockey and a bunch of stuff.
Cool. I'll check it out. Sweet. The name of the podcast one more time is
Video Game History Hour.
Sweet. Kelsey, thanks for joining us for this hour. We do something
Thank
weird
you.
on this show where, just so audio listeners understand that something has changed, do you want to clap once to take yourself out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
All right, I'm out of here.
Kyle, do you know how this whole thing operates?
I have no clue.
Well, the
I have no idea.
answer
You just
is-
call me sometime.
The answer, Kyle, is patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. You can go there, support us at any tier and unlock access to the Discord. You can compete in Trivia Tower, which is coming up later this month, where you can win some fun prizes. Bunch of other stuff. You can submit comments and questions to the Deepest Dive on Batman Arkham Asylum, which is going on right now. And the special guest is Brandon Jones from Easy Allies. But thank you to some of MinnMax's biggest supporters like Will Cornelius. He wants everybody to know that if you own an Android or Tizen OS smartwatch and you're looking for a unique watch face with a retro sci-fi futuristic design, you can download the Facer app to your smartphone and check out the creator, Cyberpunk. There are over 100 original watch faces, including neon and metallic backgrounds, unconventional time and date displays, dynamic battery life and stat tracking, new series of faces based on Dune's great houses. There are free and premium faces available for $5 a month. So check out those watch faces. The creator is Cyberpunk on the Facer app. Also, thank you to I'm8bit. They want everybody to know that you can check out Spinch on Switch, the physical edition from I'm8bit for the game Spinch, which is a psychedelic platformer developed by Queen Bee, published by Acapura Games. It has fantastic box art. Has an I'm8bit exclusive edition with illustrated zine by Jesse Jacobs, versatile cover sheet. You can also get the vinyl soundtrack to Spinch, which has a psychedelic tricolor vinyl, as they put it. So please check that out. And anything on I'm8bit store, you can use the promo code SPRINGFORWARD. One word, Spring Forward, and you can get 10% off everything under $100 in I'm8bit's wonderful online store. Please check that out. Nicole, the way this works is everybody who supports us on Patreon can submit a question or comment for us, and we're going to read some of our favorites and then choose our number one tippy top favorite, and then that person gets question of the week, and I'm8bit ships out a prize, and this week it is the Pac-Man 40th anniversary soundtrack, which is an exclusive I'm8bit import. So your job, Nicole, is to remember all of these questions and remember which one is your absolute favorite, and then they win question of the week.
All I need to do is remember one username.
Yep, that's really you get the name of the game. We have
got it.
great questions here. Joe Kefczynski writes in. He says, "I'm so excited to have Nicole Z on the show. Please, please, please have her explain some Pokemon lore for us. Thank you." You don't actually have to do that. You really don't have to do that. But I had completely forgotten about this. But this is back on Weekend Confirmed. You were renowned for your Pokemon monologues.
Yeah, apparently, and Zelda and Gears of War. I would just go on little rants, and most people don't know people who grew up in Sherman Oaks, and so they don't speak like Valley girls. So I think people just were like, "Oh, she knows a lot about this stuff, and also she talks like this." But also, there's a bunch of Pokemon, and if you think about it, Rapidash and Ponyta have these different forms. But if we think about what happens in the Galarian region, and we think about the elements that bring us the super mega evolutions, and you think about the type of things that would change the appearance of these Pokemon, and then you take in the Windsors. We have to take in the Windsors and the fact that they are represented by a unicorn.
Yep.
And so I think that the evolution of Ponyta and Rapidash into their Galarian forms was actually a really beautiful nod to the royal family.
That's
Team Princess
beautiful.
Diana. Thank
That's
you.
beautiful. Joe Kefczynski is just in love with that. He's upping his Patreon pledge as we speak because of the monologue. It's really stunning. Rich McLaughlin submits a question. He says, okay, you can choose one upcoming game in which to be completely in the dark. No trailers, articles, or coverage whatsoever. What do you choose for your completely spoiler-free bliss? He chooses Horizon Forbidden West. And then he asked, does that
That's
title...
a good one.
Yeah, he asked if Horizon Forbidden West, does that have a colon in it, Kyle? Do you know? Is that a colon title? Okay, of course not.
And why isn't it Horizon One Dawn? I
know, they're really blowing it on every front. But yeah, if you could have one game completely spoiler-free, Sarah, does something jump out for you?
Mine, not for the lack of spoilers, but mine would be anything to do with Final Fantasy VII. Because we're going to be in it for the long haul with this game.
Yeah.
And whenever they release the tiniest bit of information, the internet just takes it and tears it up, which is in their right. They can do that. Enjoy it. And there's always comparisons to the original Final Fantasy VII that I haven't played. So I never know what's going on. So to me, it's just when the game is finished, I just give it to me.
Right.
Because I think we're going to be hanging on to their every word for the next 10 years. So
yeah. Part 2 -D.
Pace it.
It's absolutely going to happen.
Pace yourselves.
That's really smart. Yeah. Kyle, something jump out for you?
The sequel to the Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, if
I don't
that
need
could
to know anything else.
If that was just on your Switch one morning, a year and a half from now, that's the best case scenario.
I just want a tweet that says Breath of the Wild 2 available now. I don't even want the title. I have to play the game to learn the title.
That's cool, man.
I like that.
Really
I agree. I'm one of those people who avoid trailers completely. So I would love to not know anything about Breath of the Wild going in. And God of War Ragnarok, I also would love to be super surprised by. But at the same time, having just beat Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with so many Viking and Ragnarok elements, I am very curious to see how they make that their own and separate that from what, because I would hate for them to feel similar because they're just so different games.
Right. And
there's only one Ragnarok, so.
Yeah. And Valhalla, I've only played the first, which seems insane, 20, 30 hours, but I understand the gods and the kind of mythology stuff kind of picks up later on. And so, yeah, I'm so curious. I just can't wait to see in Ragnarok just their designs for so many of the gods. I mean, at this point, it's all still so up in the air about what these things are going to look like. I can't wait for it.
And that being true, it's still set to release this year, which is crazy to me. Which I have my doubts about because it's already March. But maybe when would they even announce it? We don't have Comic-Con. E3 is probably not a thing. When would we even get that announcement trailer?
It'd probably be whatever the
maybe
state
during
of play,
a March Madness game kind of thing. Maybe we lean on sports.
Maybe, or it's probably going to be just a state of play in June in that window of where E3 would have been or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's totally my answer too. It'd be so fun to go in completely cold on that one.
Cory Barlog finally started tweeting about it. It was
right, but isn't he not on that?
I don't know.
Because isn't he on another project?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he said he wasn't directing this one.
Yeah, he's his role has changed. So I think it's possible that they have another game they're working on.
I mean, and he's always been a proponent of different directors for different God of Wars. But speaking of spoiler-free things, like he's one of those guys that they could call it the next Cory Barlog game. That's all I need. No, don't give me anything. I'll just play it, you know?
Yeah, I'm really curious about that, especially because, like, you know, Alana Pierce is now at Sony Santa Monica, and so I don't know if she'd be brought on to work on Ragnarok or to be on that, like, new team with Cory Barlog, whatever that would be. But there's a lot of questions.
Let's analyze that. What would be her specialization that she could bring to that team?
She's a writer. Yeah.
Right, but like what about like her background could make her really strong? Like, so maybe because she's Australian, right? So like maybe there's
finally happening.
Yeah. Oh my God. Confirmed?
Yeah. I think it's as good as
he made the game in his head, I'm sure. It'll come eventually.
That's a good guess, dude. That's a really good guess.
That would be cool. Adam D writes in. No, I do. I really do. Adam D writes in. He says, with Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I think he means to say, coming out soonish, and the studio overhauling Mass Effect 1, both graphically and in terms of gameplay, can you think of examples when you thought a remaster/remake went too far?
Final 7.
Okay. Let's see which one to take first. Kyle says GoldenEye. Interesting. Yeah, that's it.
They just went. They just turned into a Call of Duty game and just used like some basic visual layout of some of the levels. It was one of the most. It is far and away the most disappointing remake I've ever played. They did nothing that I wanted for that game at all. Like there was nothing about that game that I liked or was. I think the first 5 minutes of the first level felt looked like the first level of GoldenEye, but then after that, it like you were in cutscenes and it was what a disappointment.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII, Nicole, it's just too much.
I mean, it's just too much. Like that game came out once and then you paid full price for it, and now they're gonna just divvy it up into as many possible pieces.
Don't defend it, Hanson. I know you love it.
I just didn't want her to rile you up again, Kyle, about all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, the more I've sat on like the announcements of Intergrade and the Yuffie chapter, the more I do worry about this being blown out and stretched out even more.
And then like what's to stop? I mean, obviously this is like a very slippery slope kind of crazy talk. Yeah. But like what's this, I was reading this morning about some games that are really popular in Japan, and instead of, and these are story games, like RPG games that are dialogue based, and rather than microtransactions for armor or weapons, you play microtransactions to get more dialogue options. And so like that's dangerous for a game like this. Like what if we get into a world where it's like, oh, you don't like your ending? Well, for $2.99 you could,
Well, I pay that.
Yeah, right. That's a good deal. I think that's an interesting business model.
Yeah, they'll save that for the battle royale. It's like you can have a different way, a different death, I don't know, exclamation as you go down for different tiers of pricing. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. Does anything jump out to you, Sarah?
Oh, it's not really. It was more of like an IP revitalization that absolutely broke my heart. Was when Chibi Robo came out with Chibi Robo Ziplash. Yeah. I'm still not over that. My heart is still broken to this day. Makes me cry every time. I don't know why. Like they were like, oh, we need a 2D side scroller. I don't know. Here's an IP no one's using.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of in that same vein as that Hey Pikmin game. It's like there was that weird chapter of just 3DS versions of franchises we love that were just a little bit off. That's a good one. Grizzled Gaming writes in, he says, hey, Benny Hansen and the Hansenites. Sure. While listening to the MinnMax Council call-in episode about Mass Effect 3's ending, I was reminded of my all-time favorite fan theory, the indoctrination theory. And while BioWare stated that was not what they were doing, it is so intriguing of an ending that it's my personal canonical ending to that game. That said, what are some of your favorite fan theories from games, TV, movies, etc.?
Okay, real quick, just gonna jump into the Mass Effect.
Please do.
Agreed. I love indoctrination theory for Mass Effect 3 specifically.
Sure.
My ending that even though I beat it once with the green ending, that's a good one. It felt bad. So the ending I like is you do the bad ending, the red ending, where you kill all the synthetics, and then at the very end you do this. Your body moves. So to me, I'm alive. Then in my headcanon, I get better. Then the Citadel DLC happens where I throw my crew a party.
Right.
And then Kate and Alenko and I get married and we are so in love. So that's the Mass Effect 3 ending that I know and love. So I don't even know what the question was. Are we talking about Mass Effect 3?
No, just in general. Just everything else.
Liara is my next
Fan
one.
theories.
Okay, yeah, fan theories.
Caden, really? Going with Caden?
Look, Ashley's a space racist.
Of course she is. No one's arguing for Ashley.
Well, that's why I killed her.
She had to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other fan theories from like anything even beyond games that stands out to folks?
I mean, it's more or less been canonized now through art books and stuff like that. But the Zelda sort of timeline, I feel like firmly sits in that sort of fan theory thing that I think Nintendo might have looked at and been like, that's interesting. We could do something with that. But like, I love that idea of just like split timelines and like not really being clear where a Zelda game takes place in terms of like timing and like just this loop of good versus evil playing out over, millennia. Like, I eat it up. I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. I love Zelda being reincarnated. I love Nairu and Pharaoh and Din, and I love the idea of like these goddesses coming to Hyrule and making the planet, and like I love all that garbage. I'm also one of those people who read all the Star Wars canon books and then will refuse to read anything that's not canon, and then I'm oh cute, but that's not canon. Like I'm that jerk. So I'm reading the new Thrawn books right now. I love Thrawn so much.
Looking forward to the future of Mandalorian and all that stuff. Really? What?
Heck,
all I know about Thrawn is he's smart. He's very smart and he's blue. Is that what he's got going for him?
I mean, it's who I am.
Got it.
No, but I love all that stuff. I love fan theories. I also love conspiracy theories. I also firmly believe in cryptozoology, which is like the Loch Ness Monster and stuff.
Right. Oh, firmly. I like planting your flag on firmly believe in the Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. Mine's more believable than that. I was thinking about just the fan theories, and I feel like Pixar has talked about this, but they've never made it canon, but it makes so much sense that it should just be canon at this point. The idea that Woody is Andy's dad's toy. And that's like part of the weird connection is Andy's dad died and passed on this toy. That's why also Woody is so connected to Andy, with just being like, well, I need to stick with this kid because my owner got sick and died, or whatever is happening in this world.
Let's take this theory and expand it to all of the toys are possessed by the dead.
I wasn't going that far.
Wait, hold on.
This is a stretch.
Hey, this is how fan theories go, though.
Yeah, okay, all right, I'm with it. Right, so they're all inhabiting ghosts. Go on.
Back the layers.
Yeah, and they have unfinished business, and it's to go to college.
Which they'll never finish unless Bonnie takes them.
Yeah, and that's just the great tragedy of toys is nobody takes their toys to college. Therefore, all these ghosts are just tortured for eternity.
Yeah,
that's really smart.
Pixar.
Sarah's shaking her head.
That's good. I got another one, and this one is like, please let me know in the comments whether or not you think this is legit. But it's something I heard once, and I'm on the fence about it. But in Jurassic Park, everybody knows the greatest film of all time. There's the scene where they're landing the helicopter. Remember, Alan Grant can't tie his seatbelt. He's like, John Hammond's like, well, I've landed by the time you get it right. In that scene, what he ends up doing is he takes two female ends of the seatbelts and tying them together and tightening it up. And so fans have said that is a nod to the idea of only female dinosaurs on the island. Life will find the way. That is what that's referring to. Is that too much, Sarah?
That's reading into it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like symbolism in your AP English lit books.
Right.
Where you're like, is the curtain blue because he's sad? Or is the curtain blue because the author wanted the curtain to be blue? I think you can make an argument for both. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, it could be either.
Yeah. It could just be, hey, it's just a silly thing for Alan Grant to do to show that he can really... I don't know. He's like MacGyver out there. He's a survivalist score.
I say we look into this and we watch the whole movie and we look for every possible like plug, outlet, anything that like is like the female male in technology, and we look, and we can't stop there. We have to watch all the movies, and then we need to play the Lego recreations of them. Yes. I have it, so let me know when you guys are free.
Yep, all the female parts in Lego Jurassic World. It's just ripe for a video essay on YouTube.
Yeah.
The issue is when you're like working on a game and you see a fan theory pop up and you're like, we did do that. Mm-hmm. Not the intended outcome, but we will run with that. You're like, yes, exactly. That's exactly what we meant. That's exactly intended.
Did you experience
the timeline?
Yeah, I mean, realistically.
I've experienced it, but I probably like can't talk about it too much. It's probably one of those like NDA things. But so many times you read fan theories and you're like, wow, they really thought about this more than I did. And you just let them have it. You just let them have it.
When I was on Talking Dead, like, it was my job to, like, get all the Walking Dead fan theories and questions. And, like, so much of that, it seems, informs the direction of the show. Because, like, that, obviously they have source material that they can do what they want with. But, like, the Walking Dead specifically is such a show where community is such a huge part of it. And, like, and yeah, so I think that's a really interesting thing that can have that feedback loop.
Even like I think about, going back to God of War Ragnarok without spoiling the end of God of War or anything, but I just think about there were so many rampant fan theories that just made complete sense. And now it's like, well, if they just go in that direction, it's going to be a little bit of letdown. Of like, yeah, it turns out the thing you all thought was going to be a thing at the end of that first game, you will get to experience that in Ragnarok. But maybe it's just fan theories. It's such a tiny sliver of the audience that it doesn't matter. And if you're a creator and you see that stuff online, you should still be like, we just got to keep plowing ahead and we'll still wow millions of people with this twist.
Yeah. My fan theory for Ragnarok is that there'll be some meaningful female characters.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Like a seatbelt?
Yeah, two. Two would be ideal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Justin Ray writes in, he says, I was playing Bowser's Fury and a thought occurred to me when I jumped off a cloud way up in the sky and safely drifted down to Earth. How would life change if humans did not take fall damage? Would a fear of heights not exist? Could you fly from point A to point B and simply jump out when it's your stop?
Our architecture would probably be a little different.
Like do we not have internal bleeding anymore?
Yeah, because it's unclear at what point it's like fall damage versus, like, if I jumped into the Grand Canyon, I'd still like scrape myself on the way down and stuff, right?
Right. If you don't push A and roll right as you land, you might die. But if you roll, you're good.
I think there's something with that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think elevators would only go up.
And then it would just be like an elevator shaft to jump down?
It'd be just like an Assassin's Creed style, just like jump.
You know when like someone builds a house and they haven't built the 2-level porch on the back, so there's like sliding doors and no porch to walk. That's how every house would be. Just doors into nothing.
Yeah. I think it's a better place. I think I'd like to live in your world, Justin Ray. Spencer Botine says, hey, everybody, with the new price tag for games set at $70, I'm finding myself hesitating to pre-order upcoming titles. Don't get me wrong, I'm totally fine with the price hike, but suddenly games like Returnal and Ratchet & Clank seem more like, I'll wait for a sale. What do you think the reaction will be to this new standard? Will we have more tiered pricing in games again, or are we just going to get used to this in a year or two?
Streaming services. Yeah, I think that like I'm not going to pre-order anything unless you give me like a plushie or a sticker. The power of a sticker is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But like I have, Xbox Game Pass and like whatever the PS5 one is, and like
sure.
I have access to so many games constantly that the idea of pre-ordering a digital game in case it runs out is just like that's just not the reality anymore.
No, it seems absurd for $70. I mean. And there's even this weird thing of even watching the State of Play, the most recent one, of just every game just being like, $70 just seems outrageous. So when they announce something like Oddworld Soulstorm coming to PS Plus, like, yeah, that makes sense. The greatest twist is Destruction All-Stars just going to PS Plus. And so there's kind of this weird assumption that like anything that's not at that AAA level, I'll wait for an extreme sale or just wait for it to come to PS Plus. And so it kind of has shifted my viewpoint just on some of the ridiculous pricing for the games, unless it's a huge Naughty Dog production or something like that.
I wonder if this new model will pressure game developers to have games that are more spoily based, more appointment viewing, because so many people could see a game and think, I'll wait for Game Pass, I'll wait. So it's not that they won't play it, it's that they're not going to play it in that window. And so to encourage people to play in this launch window, I wonder if we're going to see things that are spoiler driven to encourage people to be like, well, I gotta play it now. Because I know that that's a motivator for me to play things right away because I don't want to be spoiled.
Right. So there's
everyone goes to see the Marvel movies so quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I got bullied into watching WandaVision like Friday morning.
Yeah, because honestly, this WandaVision crap's driving me insane. IGN and GameSpot
why?
are out of their minds. It is literally, I wake up Friday morning, 7 a.m. tweets from IGN, just, yeah, this episode was about this, with a big picture. It is insane. Like,
I love the way that I always see you yelling at IGN, Ben.
I
It was The Mandalorian, and
Yes.
now it's WandaVision. You're
It's
always up in their mentions,
infuriating.
like, please have some self-respect for me.
But as somebody, Sarah, who understands social media, everybody here understands
Yeah.
social media to some extent, it blows my mind that you can't just tweet, hey, here's our big, spoiler-filled recap of the new episode of WandaVision, and just put a picture of Wanda on there. Like, why?
Right.
Does it really pay off in the click-through rate
Yes.
for being so specific? You think it does?
Yes.
By having a big picture of a
Absolutely.
spoiler?
Yep.
Why are you so confident in that?
Because I know it does. People like when baby, when they named Baby Yoda
Right.
or whatever, no
Right.
one was like, click here for Baby Yoda's name. They literally plastered that weird ass little name everywhere they could. So maybe people who didn't even watch or don't even watch Mandalorian will click and read it. So you're enticing people outside the WandaVision bubble, because if you put that amazing spoiler, people are going to be like, oh, I don't even watch WandaVision, but maybe I'll read this article about this weird ass spoiler that happened.
It's weird, and it's a double-edged sword, I think, because I know with, not to bring up Walking Dead constantly, but I did work there a few years. Spoilers were a huge deal, and before I got there, someone had tweeted or posted to Facebook that a character died on the East Coast feed, not the West Coast feed. And so the West Coast feed was like, those Facebook fans were furious. And so like, those are the kinds of things that like, I think brands need to be more respectful of and more kind to their audience. And IGN's one thing because, they exist because of clicks. And like, that's kind of like, they have so much content. That's fine.
Yeah.
What I'm getting increasingly annoyed with are like people I know, my friends who are like 7 a.m. stayed up late to watch WandaVision. Here are the spoilers just so everyone knows I watched it. It's like, we can be part of this community
You gotta
together.
have the spiciest tweet, though. You gotta get it first. You gotta get in while it's hot. You gotta get your likes. You gotta get your retweets. What if somebody else takes your spicy tweet? Unacceptable.
What are you going to
Then
do? Go
nothing
on
happens.
living?
You move on with your life.
Exactly. But
That's
some people
true.
don't understand that.
It's infuriating.
It's rough out there.
I just don't think anybody should ever tweet again, is my conclusion here. Do you ever have that moment?
I'm not morally opposed.
Okay. Do you ever have moments of just going on Twitter and just having this wave of realization that I just wish everybody would stop. I just think I'm going to mute everybody in this Twitter feed. At that point, I don't know what the point of Twitter is, but
Yeah, and I've been a social media producer for like 12 years, so like my cynicism for this is like pretty high.
Right. Kyle, yes, sir?
I don't want any more spoilers for the rest of this particular episode. I want to go back and like listen to the ending later. So I have to go, actually. I'm sorry. I have a previous engagement.
Okay, bye,
don't worry,
Kyle.
we'll
Clap
tweet
out.
you the end, so it'll be
Thank
ruined
you.
for you. Yeah.
And if you don't want to see it, you can just mute the words. Mm-hmm. Ben, you can mute the word WandaVision if you don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, bye, Kyle.
Yeah, it's lovely meeting you both. Well, not meeting Nicole, but Sarah. Lovely meeting you.
It was
again.
lovely.
Hanson.
Nice
you guys
to see
later.
you again.
Clap out, you
sir.
fool. Ian Williams writes in. He says, hey, gang, what is your favorite food from another country or that you can't get locally to you? I've always wanted to try Taco Bell, but I can't get it anywhere in the UK. Oh, Ian, you're missing out, buddy.
It's in the UK.
Really?
There's Taco Bell in the UK.
How do you know
Yeah.
that? That's amazingly specific.
Because I love Taco Bell and I'm having the spicy potatoes and the Mexican pizza. I'm a vegetarian for 17 years. Those were like my lifeline. I have boycotted them. I have sent them angry messages. They are bringing the spicy potatoes back on March 11th, and I will return and I will wear my Taco Bell sweatshirt and everything. So whenever I go to other countries, I look for the Taco Bells. There is one outside of London, but I'm sure it's quite far from where this person
Ian.
lives.
Okay, well, Ian, just make
I
the
was
trek.
there when Taco Bell opened up in Shibuya, their first ever Japan Taco Bell. That line, first of all, they opened up in a little bit of like a seedy district. Like they opened up inside kind of like an alley between two main roads where if you take a wrong turn, you're going to end up in 18 plus communities. But don't go down that alley. But the line was like out the door, down the street. Like it was an hours long line. And I'm just looking at you and I'm like, I'm begging you. Whatever is in there, it is not worth this. And then a week later, there was no line. And I could get Taco Bell whenever I wanted.
Did they have any good Japanese Taco Bell things in there?
I think just the overall quality was a little bit better because that's how they usually do it. Like the quality was a little bit better to get, new people to actually eat it, but didn't really notice a big difference. The restaurant, like the space was nice. It was nice.
Yeah. Is it McDonald's in Japan that has the chicken shake? Is that what it's called?
I don't know. They come out with all of Asia gets a lot of really great
hang on, it's
seasonal
not what you think.
items.
Okay, so what it was basically just a chunk of fried chicken, and you put it in a packet with like mac and cheese powder. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah. Was it like shaku or something? Yeah, and you'd shake the whole thing and then just coat this chicken breast in mac and cheese powder, and believe it or not, it's good.
Yeah, I think you can do that at konbinis in Japan. You can get like a famichiki, and then you can ask for powder, and then you shake it up in the bag. Okay. I remember that.
Okay. But yeah, what comes to mind for you all for food from another country that you want around you?
When I was in London, I had some of the best Indian food of my life.
Yes.
And I miss that. Like they had like coconut rice that I've just not found in America anywhere. In Japan, I had a big time trouble eating. Like I didn't eat meat or fish I ate.
It's very hard.
Individually wrapped bananas. Italy. Oh my God, I loved Italy. But I can get pizza here.
Yeah, you get the idea. Yeah, I think.
But I want Italian pizza. I want that.
It'd be nice. I think number one for me is, you two are in LA, so you're spoiled. But the fact that there isn't a cocoa curry,
Kokichi?
It's not anywhere except for.
I literally get kokichi every other week.
That is infuriating. I'm so jealous. It would do so well in every town, I feel like, in the States. It's just so basic. I think it would do well
in the Midwest, too.
Yes.
It's that meat, hearty, with some rice.
Covered in cheese and a beer. It's just the best. I want to start calling them on a regular basis to beg them to establish one in Minneapolis.
I'll write them a letter. I think their warehouses are out here.
Okay.
Guys, it worked for Taco Bell, so...
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Pester them. Pester ball them.
Very good. Sarah, do you miss anything from Japan? It's got to be a lot of stuff, right?
For me, a lot of them, I can cook a lot of my own dishes. That I would eat in Japan. A lot of comfort food is sort of homemade stuff. But for me specifically, it's okonomiyaki, which is that really skinny cabbage pancake that you make on kind of like a hibachi grill.
Okay.
And I always stop at this one place in the Kyoto train station that I stop with my friends from college. And it's delicious. I'm not selling it with the whole shredded cabbage pancake thing.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
But I'm promising you, and then you just kind of eat it right off the grill, or they'll put it on a plate for you. But they make it in front of you. It's a little pancake. It's delicious. You cannot find it in the States.
Weird. That sounds
Only
great.
in Japan.
Only in Japan.
I was playing Yakuza and I saw a sign that said okonomiyaki. I was like, give it to me. I want it.
Andrew Reynolds writes in, he says, hey all, what game from your childhood did you love, but looking back didn't realize that it was actually bad?
A lot of them.
Yeah, most of them, I think. That's the way childhood works. Everything is bad and you don't realize it.
Let me look it up. Goemon's Mystical Castle?
Goemon?
Remember that? Goemon's Mystical Great Adventure? Goemon's Great Adventure.
Well, there's the 64 one and then what? Super Nintendo?
I played the 64 one and I remember renting it over and over and over again because I didn't have a memory card. So I had to start over every weekend. And I bought that game 7 years ago and I went back to try and play it and I couldn't. It was a mess and I didn't know what I was doing and I remember it being so magical. But no longer. No longer.
Yeah, that's a sad one. I mean, it's a lot of, for me, it's Apple II stuff, which I played so much as a kid. And it was all just barely functioning as a game, where my mind, the most dynamic, crazy game full of features was always Winter Olympics. It's probably, I don't even know what year that would have been. Winter Olympics 1982, come play this game. And it was just hey, you go ice skating by hitting the V key 3 times. It was just nonsense like that I remember thinking was incredible. So it was just everything.
You love Olympic Games. There's one thing I know about you.
That's
it's
right.
That you love Olympic Games. Mario vs. Sonic in the Olympics has been your game of the year every time. And it's beautiful that you are so true to yourself.
Thank you. And when they delayed it last year, I've been on a hunger strike.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you should eat, but you do look great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sarah, does anything jump out to you for a bad old game?
A lot of my early childhood games I played on like a really old PC, and one of them was a 101 Dalmatian 3D platformer. And I think it has wrecked 3D platformers for me for the rest of my adult life because that was so hard. You're trying to use your keys to jump as a puppy, and like Cruella de Vil was chasing you down with like an evil army of toys. And I remember it very vividly because it was very hard.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like,
all those Disney platformers, just needlessly difficult.
Aladdin destroyed me.
Right. And the whole idea, I remember talking to the creative director for Lion King back in the day, and it was just like, oh, it was just because of, we didn't want kids to rent it and then beat it. We wanted them to be forced to buy it so they could beat their head against a wall to try and get through
Or rent it over and over again. The Blockbuster model.
That's right. Exactly. All right. Cyber writes in killer question saying, I grew up without any Nintendo games in my life. I was a PSP kid. Weird. He says, but like Ben, hang on, this is very important. He says, but like Ben's nephews. He doesn't say, but I like Ben's nephews. The point is, he says, my parents decided to buy me a Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokedex book thing and some Pokemon cards. I didn't really know what most of the overrated Pokemon were. My question is, what are your top tier underrated Pokemon, and why is Game Freak wrong for ignoring them? Also, shout out to Sarah Pods for funny tweets.
Oh my God, thank you.
Congratulations.
So anyway, subscribe to my Twitter superfan account. My tweets will now cost $5 a tweet.
Per character.
They will include, per character, pictures of my dog exclusively. He will no longer be on the stream.
Right. Smart. And then the dog will have a speech bubble, and it'll be spoiling the Mandalorian in it. So please look forward to that. Okay, underrated Pokemon. Who do we got?
All the cute ones.
Yeah, all the cute ones.
Underrated.
I run a team. Yeah, I run a team called the Cutie Patooties. Cute Pokemon only. Everybody else can get lost.
Yeah, all right, so who's in that team? Who's at the top of that team then?
My favorite Pokemon ever, I have the plushie here that I got from the Pokemon Center, is Esper. The tiny cat that holds the power of an atomic bomb in it's a psychic type Pokemon, and it has these little like things under its ears, these little yellow dots, and it holds the power of an atomic bomb in it. And if you play X and Y, they're all over the fucking city. This is like the Skitty or like the basic cat type Pokemon, but there's these little, and they have these eyes that look like they're in a constant state of sort of like PTSD flashbacks to Vietnam. And apparently it's because they're struggling so hard to hold the power. And it said in the Pokemon Dex of an atomic bomb
Jesus
in its tiny body that it is constantly in like a state of like stress. And this is my favorite Pokemon.
That's good. That's a good choice. Edgar Vasquez in the Backstage Pass chat watching us live, he says Mr. Mime, which I would have agreed with, but I feel like he's getting
Galarian version? Have you guys seen the Galarian, Mr.?
You get the weird, freaky Galarian. I mean, he's almost the breakout star of Detective Pikachu. Like, Mr. Mime has gotten his due pretty recently, but...
Right.
Yeah. Mine is... I just think it looks cool. Ladian. Like the Ladybug evolution back in Gold and Silver. It's kind of like it looks like a superhero ladybug. It's got a cool look to it. And I can't imagine.
I really didn't expect you to pick the Ladybug Pokemon. I'll be real.
It looks cool. It looks like an alien or something. It's freaking sweet.
It's like a ladybug.
Yeah, but like a badass alien ladybug. Yeah.
But like a cool ladybug.
Yeah, the coolest thing you could possibly imagine, like that level of thing. I don't know. What stands out to you, Nicole?
I mean, I always like to play with cute Pokemon, and so it's always crushing when like my Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Clefable, and anything pink eventually has to be cycled out because it's not strong enough.
Right.
My Pokemon Sword team right now is a Rapidash, Sylveon, Espeon. So it's like I'm just recycling Psychic and Fairies because they're light purple and light pink.
Right.
So like those are my favorite. Those are my three right now, and then three right now. But yeah, just anything cute and cuddly, I think should be more strong.
I don't evolve my Pokemon if I think they're too cute.
Everstones?
So
my Squirtles always get Everstones.
I sort of like, everyone's like, well, the Pokemon games are getting too easy. I'm like, yeah, try not evolving your Pokemon and getting to the end. Like you want to talk about difficulty? Like my little team of little cutie patooties I cannot take on the dragons of the Elite Four.
Yeah.
We are not prepared.
I also play a metagame when I play Pokemon now, where I only enter female Pokemon because it's an extra challenge.
Right.
Because no matter what the numbers say on, Cerebi.com or whatever, they're not 50-50. Like catching female Pokemon is actually quite difficult. And so I capture only female Pokemon.
Interesting, bold move. It's interesting to say the cute Pokemon are underrated because I think there's also the hardcore edge wants cooler, darker Pokemon, but the cute stuff, like that's good for toys, right? You think Pokemon is the company is getting those out front and center, right? Aren't you guys? I don't know. They're really under the radar because they're cute.
It's not that they're like underrated, but that you are expected in the game to evolve them.
Right.
And Pokemon go through this phase where it's like in the beginning they're really cute. Their second evolution is usually awkward puberty, and then their third evolution they were a bipedal WWE fighter. And you're like, what happened? What happened to the cat? Why does it have a belt on? What happened to my kitty?
That is like, speaking of being blind in games, that is one of the rare treats. I think for the last couple, they haven't shown like the final evolutions when the game came out, and like not looking that up and just being like, all right, I'm locked in on Sobble. No matter where this goes, ride or die, baby. Let's go.
I need to know. I
picked
because of what happened to Litten, I switched teams. Like I was like, no, Poplio. I literally switched teams. I was like, I love you, Litten.
Poplio
but
was so cute.
Handle it. I switched to Poplio.
Yeah, it's a poodle seal.
Yeah, it turns into a mermaid. Like,
yeah,
I love it.
At least I had something.
Yeah, it'll do. Also, Tangela, I think doesn't get its due, especially because they finally gave it an evolution and it's freaking hideous. I hate that.
It's a mess.
Gross thing. I don't even remember what it's called.
I can see it because it's in the Sword and Shield DLC.
Right.
And so, like it just pops up and like you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Okay, Nicole, moment of truth. Question of the week.
Yeah.
What stood out to you?
The one that said my name in it, the first one.
No, we can't do that. That's so lame. All right, just for some other options.
I want the one where the person said that I had funny tweets.
Wait a minute. I want the one where somebody called me Benny Hansen and the Hansenites. So it's a three-way tie.
I like the question. I think underrated one's a great question.
I think that's good. I like the fan theory one.
Fan theory, yeah.
I like favorite food.
Remakes, that was a good discussion too.
Yeah. Sarah, you lean in any direction here?
I like the Pokemon one because I got to talk about Esper.
Okay. I mean, it's the theme of the show. Nicole, what do you think? Should we give it to him?
I think the answer is right in front of us.
There we go. Congratulations, Cyber. Question of the week. We will ship out, or I'm 8-bit more specifically, we'll ship out that Pac-Man soundtrack for you. That'll be sweet. And now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. Okay, Nicole. This is going to be confusing, but do you have a factoid or a little tidbit?
They don't prepare you well enough for this.
I know. You're thrown in the deep end. Wow us with a factoid, please.
Oh, yeah. This is fun facts?
Yeah.
Not about me, though. Just a fun fact in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
whoa, you maniac. You absolutely have to say, get a load of this before you jump into it. Or else,
I haven't said that for like the past two I've done.
Yeah, I've cut them out. I've turned them out of the final episode. It's just, you got to do it. I'm sorry. Okay. And take two, Nicole, go.
Get a load of this.
Oh.
I was reading about the trees in New Zealand, as one does at 4 a.m. sleep. And so during some construction in New Zealand, they found these trees that were 42,000 years old. 42,000 years ago.
Wait, 4,200?
1,000.
Not 1,000.
Yes.
What?
The tree, that's how long ago this was. So the tree, which lived 1,700 years, was preserved in this bog. And a bog is like a swamp, but less letters. And so it's preserved. And so they go in and they look at the rings, they look at all the information that are in these trees, and it shows that 42,000 years ago, the magnetic poles switched. They just full on switched. And so the magnetic poles, so the Earth is made of iron, and the magnetic poles going around and around, and the heat and all that is creating a magnetic field that's keeping us all happy in space.
Sure.
So when the fields switched 42,000 years ago, it caused the climate to drastically change, and they think caused the die-off of tons of major mammals. So that's horrible because the poles will definitely shift again. It's just like a thing that happens. And we know that when it happens again, mammals are on the plate. So warm blood, everybody.
Jesus Christ. Hey, cool. Mine was a little bit lighter. I don't know if you saw this weird stuff last week where, I'm sorry. Get a load of this, everybody.
I was going to say, I was waiting.
Wait a minute.
I was waiting.
All right. Hey, get a load of this. There was a podcast called the Podcast Reload, and it's in Spanish. And, I don't know if you saw this tidbit. It was on Recetera and stuff last week. But there was a former Nintendo PR person for the Spanish PR division of Nintendo named Olmar Alvarez on there. And
that name sounds familiar.
Ooh, maybe you worked with him. Interesting. Anyways, he was on this podcast, and the weird thing is he has a terminal illness, and he has 4 months to live, which is very sad. But the weird thing then is he went on this podcast, and he's like, hey, here's a bunch of Nintendo secrets. What are they going to do? Sue me? And so he just lets it rip on this podcast. Nothing insane in there, but he talks about how apparently there was discussion within Nintendo about naming the Switch, like WII, to have like
The
Wii.
Switch?
Yeah, to have Wii in the Switch title in some way. And then he also talks about working with Kamiya from Platinum and how he was a complete disaster to work with.
Seems about.
And then, of course, Kamiya jumps on Twitter and he retweets the story. And then he talks about this guy and he says, who the f*** is this fishy shit? So, hey, good times. If you want some good Nintendo dirt, you can check that out. The links are below. But Sarah, did you have something?
Yeah, get a load of this. Sony recently put in a patent application for a special controller, and the example they used is a banana. Nowhere, I read the patent, nowhere in the patent does it actually say it's a banana, but it said they want basically random objects to be used as have controller functionality. And nowhere does it say banana. So I feel misled, but it is a picture of a banana.
Yeah, the ones that they actually filed with the patent is just, hey,
was
what
a
if,
banana?
What if you're holding two bananas and then those are your PSVR controllers?
I mean, we've seen people use bananas as controllers. Like, we saw that one guy play Overwatch
And his
play
phone.
Winston's with bananas.
Yeah,
So
it is true. Yeah, their phones, they're getting around. Yeah, that is such a weird thing. So it's just like you can, in theory, the patent then is for holding anything up to the camera and you can scan it in. That's a fun
something
idea.
like that to be used
Interesting.
as a controller.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
But there's so many, people submit so many weird patents to just throw their competition off.
Right.
And just claim things.
Because when the Switch came out, I remember the rumor was that the Switch was going to be some kind of quality of life thing that was going to help you exercise, and it was going to be more like integrated into your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And when there was like a patent for that, and then that is not what we got.
There was also a patent once for a while of like, I think a Nintendo product that would have ambient light project to the wall and like expand. And like that kind of stuff happens with like, light bars and stuff. But I remember that being like a Nintendo product. That would have been rad.
Right. And then I remember even before the Switch 2, there was, maybe it was before Wii U? I think it was Switch. But there was that weird patent for how they wanted to put screens on like uneven, weird surfaces. Where it's like, and then their picture was like basically having a screen on a controller where the screen was like working around the buttons and stuff like that. There's so many weird things. So who knows if anything will come of this, but.
Remember the commercial that was like, you had a picture on your phone, this? Mm-hmm. And then like it swiped to your Nintendo? Like that never happened.
Right. That's a good one. Forrest L in the community Discord for MinnMax submitted that one about the patent too. But
well, it just came out yesterday. Today,
crazy.
Yesterday?
Yeah. But let's see, in the community Discord, Leafeon posted, it's a news story, but it's still a get a load of this, that Epic bought Mediatonic, the developer of Fall Guys.
Saw that.
Did they release price for that? Did they come out there with anything?
I didn't see him. I didn't see a number.
Yeah. Congratulations to that team for never having to work again. I mean, my God, especially...
Congratulations to whoever owns that team.
That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, they mentioned that they have ballooned up to a team. I think they went from like 30 people to 150, I think, for the development team for Fall Guys. And it's an interesting time for Epic to buy them. I mean, Fall Guys is still big, I'd imagine.
Right.
But it's interesting that like as it's on the downswell, I wonder if they got a discount for waiting a couple months longer than you think that they would have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe they had a big pitch for what the next iteration is going to be like.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see what comes of that. Hey, thank you both for joining us on the full episode here. Nicole, what would you like to plug?
Well, I'm Nicole Z on Twitter. I'm Nicole Z on Instagram. Those are my 2 things right now.
Sweet. That's awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Sarah, what do you got?
I am Sarah Pods on Twitter, where you can find my apparently funny tweets. And I am also Sarah Pods on Twitch. This Saturday, I'm going to be continuing my stream of Pokemon Coliseum.
Ooh.
So that's been very exciting. A little trip down memory lane. I didn't play it very well as a child. I was very bad at it. But as an adult, I'm navigating it a little bit better. Maybe.
Proud of you.
Yeah,
As a kid, I didn't get it. I was like, this isn't a Pokemon game. What is this? So doing better.
Nice. Did you, is Gale of Darkness going to be next for you then?
I don't know. People keep asking me about it. I'm like, I did not play that.
It's weird. It's like, I'm trying to remember, like, you don't catch Pokemon in Pokeballs. You like enshrine them in darkness. I'm trying to even remember, but it just feels like a really kind of sterile, boring RPG. So you got to check it out.
Yeah. It's right up my alley.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. For MinnMax stuff, we have the deepest dive on Batman Arkham Asylum that is airing on Wednesday of next week. So if you want to play through the first half of that game and stop when you get the line launcher and submit a comment, you can support us on Patreon. We'd be happy to read your comment there. Also, Trivia Tower, our trivia show. The second episode will be in the middle of the month. If you support us at any tier, you can compete in that and win some prizes. It'll be a good time. Also, we have a new episode of Better Quest, our show all about getting better and setting personal monthly goals. That's going to be going live on Thursday, so look forward to that. Hey, to the 2 of you, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nicole, do you miss podcasting?
Yes.
Do you still do it a fair amount? What's your...
I haven't podcasted in a few years, but I definitely miss it. I'm one of those people who listens to podcasts and then answers the questions out loud to the podcast.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely do miss talking to people.
Would you like to ask any question and then the people at home can answer the way you do?
Like the describing games for me?
Never mind. This is getting too weird. Never mind.
Okay.
The point is, thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon at the $50 tier, like Will Cornelius, I Am 8-Bit, Jawarhello, Mirko Arico-Torreno, MoonFaceNick, Zachary Pligge, BeatenDownBrian, PrettyGoodPrinting.com, Ludwig Roque, Mark Seliga, Andrew Vala, Joseph Vitelli, SuperSeriousSam, Thomas Hoster, Yarrow, SpiralInYourEyes, Richard Smuts, Clint Farley, Spider-Dan, Preetham Yarlagadda, Clayton Myers, Starkiller, Steve Bamdad, SlyckNic, Alex Payne. Thanks so much, everybody. Be good, have fun, let's go.